Yeah, so let me drink a little. Hopefully it will be 10 minutes maximum, and because previous presentations was a little bit long, like 30 minutes, some of them are 45 minutes. Difficult topics. This one is difficult as well, but I'm trying to make it as short as possible. There's a lot of comments and a lot of stuff. You're welcome, actually. Okay, sure. And my name is Resul. I'm a PhD student. And why it's disease? Because we all die. Our cells are dying. This disease occurs in all human beings. And if you consider the lifespan of an average human being, it's averagely 85, 80 years old. And if you look at the dinosaurs, dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago. So the huge difference, like you consider 65 million years, a lot of years passed after we humans, and the first civilization started in Mesopotamia, which is a region currently in Syria, Iraq, Iran, 5000 BC. So it's fairly, I would say, short period of time compared to the extinction of dinosaurs. And understanding the meaning of life, what I would say is beyond our capabilities. Because if you think about for example, human mind, what are the capabilities? For example, you can see the tesseract there. That's a four-dimensional cube, which we can't imagine our heads, but we can imagine the three-dimensional cube. Basically, we can't imagine the fourth, fifth, or higher dimensions. The meaning itself, the understanding of life itself is beyond, again, similar context about beyond our capabilities of our physical, biological body. Okay, so, and then, again, we define that life is a disease, and then there are certain rules or laws in life. For example, the first law of life is cause and effect, basically saying that any action will have a reaction. For example, you can see the billiard balls touching each other, and there's an action-reaction going on because of the physical world. Another thing about the life is everything is temporarily. Basically, we will all die. Dinosaurs when extinct, Earth will disappear, and then even our sun will explode and become a supernova after billions of years. And then third one is the existence of feelings. As we are human beings, ask those hard questions of the meaning, understanding, all the rest, have also the feelings. Sometimes we hate, sometimes we have depression or happiness or all the pleasures. What I'm trying to say is all of these are part of the life. We can't think of life without feelings. It's part of it. And as you all know, we all die. It's part of the second law as well. Everything is temporally, but in the human perspective, that's going to happen 100%. And when we look for the meaning, we sometimes look for under the ocean, under our beds, or behind the tree, or somewhere else. But the true meaning is not something that we have to search for, but that the meaning is what we have to create. That's why we call it as a meaning rather than the meaning, because there is no something that a meaning that we have to search for, discover, but there is a meaning that we can create. Yeah, the responsibility is an important factor that helps to create a meaning. If we don't have any responsibility, there won't be any meaning at the end of the point. So it's interrelated with the responsibilities, and the question there is actually not for what is the meaning, but the question is what kind of responsibilities we have to take, because it is interconnected with each other. So what a great ending of the show, right? The question was, what happens after we die, Keanu Reeves, and then he says, I don't know exactly what happens, but I exactly surely know that the ones who love us will miss us. And that's true. Okay, so in terms of scientific perspective, what happens after we die? What will happen is, certainly biologically, physically, chemically, what will happen is we will not have any consciousness, will not have any feelings or thoughts, because the mechanism that creates this conscious thoughts are not functioning anymore, which is the brain. And basically saying that we will disappear mentally and psychologically. And actually, this is not the only time it's considered to be the state of non-existence. After we die, we enter to the state of non-existence, but this is not the first time. We enter to the state of non-existence before we are born. And this part of the GIF clip is taken from the my favorite movie. It's a Waking Life. It's a psychology, philosophical movie. It's called Waking Life. And then in that movie, it says, the worst mistake that you can ever make is to think that you are alive. But when you really are in a sleeping position in life's waiting room. So it's a philosophical question of questioning whether we are alive or not. And the total number of people that ever existed in this Earth planet is approximately 100 billion different people. And the total number of genetically possible human beings is 10 to the power of 30, which is like billion times higher than the whole number of people have ever existed. Life is empty, dull, and the reason for trying to find the meaning creates the purpose, and that creates us to be alive. Otherwise, we won't be alive. The search for something else creates the purpose to keep us alive. And another meaning could be like making money, earning money, having a house, power, position, which is objective goal, which is again another meaning of life. And some other meaning, spiritual meanings, could be to find the gods, pray, perform certain rituals, or make a sacrifice. Could be another meaning. Or it could be to be happy. It could be to like consume alcohol, drugs, or to get our joy, happiness, pleasure. But what I think about this entertainment features, especially related to the feelings, I would say that the feelings, if we generally look at the brain parts where these feelings and pleasure, joy, or angerness appears, is when it's in a lower parts of the brain, which is developed in an evolutionary perspective, developed firstly. And then we as human is actually not the feeling generation part of the brain, but the neocortex, which is the highest part, which is located here, creates human as human compared to other animals. And then what's the difference between having a high neocortex is neocortex deals or creates abstract thinking, mathematics, or storytelling, or having asking hard questions, all starts from the neocortex. So that's what I'm trying to say is the meaning, if we are trying to find the meaning or search for meaning, is not a happiness, which is a lower class. The meaning has to be in a higher class, which makes us human. Otherwise, it won't be differentiable from other animals or lower level of intelligent animals. So advices I would say is my thoughts. It's all personal, subjective thoughts of mine. Is first we have to be a human beings. Basically, we have to use our skills, abilities like feelings, thoughts, smell, hear, any kind of abilities, physical, biological abilities. We have to use them. That makes us human. Two things that stops us from reaching our great true potential is first fear or laziness. So whenever we are not reaching our goals or targets, we have to ask that question: are we lazy, or are we fearing something else? If we don't have a proper responsibility, then we won't find the meaning in living. And finally, I would say is live in a now moment, not in the past, not in the future. And I will finalize with the last slide related to this. Yeah, today is a gift. That's why we call it as a present. The root of calling today, now moment, the present is because it's a gift. Yesterday was a history, tomorrow is a mystery. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, but today is a gift. That's why we call it present. pay attention, we have to isolate ourselves, to be lonely, so that we are not affected by the society or other cultural effects that makes us to think about the past or the future. So loneliness is not a bad thing. It's a good thing to give attention. Okay, so this was a presentation, and then we'll do a small exercise. That's what I do most of the time when I get bored. Is to generally I wouldn't say that close your eyes or something else. What I do is I close my eyes and think about the nothingness, or don't think about anything. And then when I close my eyes, it's dark, right? And then I ask myself a question. Well, the dark is the absence of light. So what's the next one? The opposite, the binary opposite is light. And well, if I open my eyes, I see light. If I close my eyes, it's darkness. So how can I escape light and darkness? Not thinking of other senses we have, just thinking of the visual senses. Because I cannot get rid of the colors. I cannot imagine something something of nothing. But the answer is, it is possible. The people who don't have the eyes don't have colors. They don't know black or white. And when we don't have eyes, where our eyes are not functioning, when we die, our brain is not functioning, our eyes are not functioning, that's the case where the same case as the people who don't have eyes. Getting rid of all five senses is the place where we die, actually, which is the state of non-existence in scientific terms, which is the place where we are not born yet. So that was the final presentation, and thank you for coming. Thank you. Any questions? Disappointments about the meaning? Fulfilling the responsibility is actually the answer for the meaning or the purpose. So just then the question is, what makes you to create a proper responsibility of yourself? And it is a history, asking questions, getting more knowledge about the universe and everything else, creates a state where you can have more information in yourself to have a proper target, a proper responsibility. When we get new knowledge, we extend our information space. Whenever we extend information space, we shouldn't be judged by the previous lack of information dependent responsibilities. So that's what I'm trying to say is we have to change our responsibilities based upon the knowledge. If we are not changing that, it means that we are not getting new information, new knowledge. Then the answer is the goal or the actions we have to do is to always strive for new information, knowledge, so that we can have a proper, adequate level of responsibilities. So unfortunately, disappointing part in terms of spiritual level of information and knowledge is that it can't be proven by science. If it could have been proven by science and knowledge, then tested and everything else, it will be a perfect match. But there are some certain reasons of not being able to be proven, but that's not the reason why we shouldn't do certain actions of spiritual rituals or shouldn't pursue the science. But it's just a balance we have to make. Whether we want 100% knowledge, science, proof, or we want 80% of it, or 50-50. And that question could be answered by knowledge again, by living, experiencing. Sure.
Thank you so much for the presentation. We talked about this yesterday. I told you I have a lot
to discuss. Yeah. Okay.
And a lot to ask, but I'm going to be late. Okay. So may I ask just one favor? Can we just continue this specific topic because it's kind of my favorite?
Oh, okay.
And I assume that it's kind of favorite to everyone.
Okay.
We cannot deny always we are thinking about this, even if we are in the PhD meeting.
Okay.
But if we can continue later, I can just join you and just.
Yeah. Not join me. Make a presentation yourself because it's not my presentations series. Okay.
Right,
We'll discuss.
So
yeah.
Thank you guys. See you.
Maybe you do your presentation from your aspect.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we have the discussion.
Yeah. Why not? Okay. Bye.
Okay. See you. Yeah, so it's like political answer, but I'm trying to say I have some inabilities in terms of we can't think of fourth dimension. I can't see X-ray. You can't see, nobody can see. There is a certain limit in terms of our pursuing the world. That's why I can't talk about certain things concretely, because I have inabilities, basically. I'm not perfect. Yeah, any questions? Any thoughts about your meaning?
One thing I'll say, in reflection to your view that throughout your life you accumulate knowledge and that informs your responsibility, why do we let our children start from zero again? Why do we not let them start with all the knowledge?
Yeah, like transfer the...
In the direction that we believe. But we have this view, especially in this country, that children are kind of off limits for bestowing your views on them, and we let them place quite a heavy reward on them finding their own meaning.
Yeah. So it is a selfish perspective, right? Instead of accumulating knowledge, that knowledge will be gone if it's not stored somewhere else when I die, right? But what I'm trying to say is that the meaning of life is not the answer; it is the question. And asking a question drives the human being. So instead of finding an answer, we have to have an ability or skills to ask questions. And those questions are different from each person to each others, right? So otherwise, from your perspective, if I accumulate my knowledge, experience everything else, it will be an answer. And if I give that to someone else, it's not the meaning. I have to give something to others as to develop this asking question abilities. And yeah, and that's again like thinking, asking questions, asking whys, not hows. Hows are okay, but whys are much more difficult to ask.
Are you familiar with the concept of the brain in a vat? Brain in a vat.
In a van?
Vat. V-A-T.
No, no.
Not an acronym, but it's just
in a box, right?
Yeah, let's kind of think of like an air gap.
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's a good.
Back to the idea of brain with no senses. How can it do that knowledge?
Yeah. So in neuroscience perspective, so how brain works is we have this spine cord where we have all the sensors going to the brain, and brain interprets that into feelings and generates some kind of endorphin, dopamine, all of the rest. And we have higher thinking manner. But what will happen when you put a brain and give it oxygen, blood, without any senses? What we'll have is it has a neocortex part, which have abstract thinking. So you can ask a question, if we don't have any senses, imagine a human being who doesn't have eyes, ears, smell, touch, anything else, but still living, right? The heart beats. Then the question comes in, what thought process goes in the head of that human being? And my answer is, probably there is a neuroscientific perspective answer, but my answer is it could be imaginative thought world, where there won't be any kind of stimulus survival responses, but it will be thought process of imagination, which is not dependent on the world directly. It shapes as we live through life, but without any memories we have, can that thoughts be generated? Well, I don't know. And the interesting thing about death is also after humans die, on average 6 to 11 minutes, human brain is still active. And then there's publications are saying that the active part of the brain is the memory part, which rewind back all of the memories that this particular human being is experienced. So it's kind of rewinding back all of the memories for 6 to 11 minutes on average. Yeah. Yeah, similar. But I'm not expert on this. I'm just asking questions, not answers. Most philosophers or thinkers are not danger to the world. They are actually asking correct questions about caring about the world and think about the true raw value of the earth. When we talk about sustainability, actually what goes on to sustainability, if there is no philosophical thinking behind it, is economical benefits or kind of other objective benefits, trying to look for an answer. But if you connect with sustainability with asking correct questions or philosophical questions, then it will be a true value of sustainability. Then we can start working on making Earth a much better place. Not acting, just thinking. So, like daydreaming. There are people who always daydream without any actions, which is, at the end of the point, is bad for Earth, sustainable Earth, and not good for Earth. But the balance, again, how much you think, how much you act, has to be balanced out. And I don't know the answer or percentage or what's needed, but if we act only, it's called cockroach example, which is stimulus response, no thinking, state response, which is a machine, jellyfish, basically survival instincts. But I'm trying to say that as we humans, we have this neocortex, highly developed intelligence. We have to use it. That's what being human is. We have to use that high abstract thinking abilities. Otherwise, we're just a waste of material. If we just consider state action stimulus responses such as cockroaches. Or a little bit advanced version is to just thinking about the pleasure dopamine feed. All of these dopamines and pleasures are creatable, or anger or any kind of feelings creatable in animals. But as we humans are higher intelligent beings, that makes us intelligent, we have to use our neocortex, which is daydreaming, abstract, mathematics, storytelling, all of these things. And then we have to use it more, what I'm trying to say. That makes us different than other animals. Yeah, most of us don't do it because it's hard, right? It's not easy. It consumes a lot of energy. It requires a lot of concentration, motivation, all the rest. But to reach to that level, it's not a must, right? We can be a good, sustainable human beings without it as well. What I'm trying to say is we don't have to waste our materials. Yeah, it was a little bit long, but sorry for that. I think the topic is great. Yeah, I talked a bit mostly about scientific perspectives, mostly about living, dying, physical, but there are higher levels that I haven't touched because I don't have any experience and knowledge about it to consider. And those kind of higher levels can only be generated by human beings which have neocortex. Those kind of higher spiritual levels, let's say soul level or higher mind levels, can only be created, used, understood by humans. Animals don't have that ability. One of the things about the future of brain development that I was thinking of asking questions, it's not giving an answer, but asking questions, is the way we live for the last 50 years was we tend to do stimulus responses. The algorithm going on, like we have to earn money, we have to work, wake up 8 a.m., go to 5. All of this algorithmic perspective creates a stimulus response of kind of an action. What I'm trying to say is in every action, we shouldn't just rely on neocortex or daydreaming part. We have to consider all factors such as feeling generation factors, survival instincts, higher level ethical, morality, all those aspects into our decision making. But what I see in human beings mostly is they mostly ignore those morality, ethics, or emotional aspects mostly. And that's why my prediction is that our brains, the emotional part of our brains will shrink maybe not 1,000, maybe 100,000 years later if we will live. and we will have big neocortex that's functioning higher level mathematics, abstract, but less in terms of emotions, less in terms of feelings. For example, the question is, how do you define love? You know, nowadays, 50 years ago, it was different. Nowadays, it is, you have to have this, you have to have this, algorithmic. You know, you have to have this body shape or all the rest. And that's why I created love or beauty towards you. But those kind of objective and abstract thinking perspectives will actually shrink the emotional, pure feeling part. And then basically, because we are not using it in evolutionary perspective, it will shrink and disappear at some point. I don't think it will disappear, but it will shrink, and that's dangerous because we will live in Ethiopic worlds. We'll be connected to a computer, let's say, for energy, and we'll think in an Ethiopic dystopic world of abstract thinking without any emotional interactions between each other. Because can you have two machines have an emotional interaction? No, you need your senses.